Hi, I'm Doug Black with Inside HPC, and today we're with Lorna Rivera and Sharon Brody Geva. They are senior members of the Women in HPC organization. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's start with introductions. Lorna, please tell us about your current position in the industry and also your role in WHPC.
Sure, happy to. For starters, thank you for having me. Thank you for talking to us on Women in HPC. As you already said, my name is Lorna Rivera. I'm research faculty at Georgia Tech, where I study program evaluation, particularly in the context of high performance computing or research computing projects. And so my role in Women in HPC is to serve as the director of research, since that aligns very well with my own research at Georgia Tech.
Okay, thanks, Lorna. Sharon, how about you?
My name is Sharon Brody Geva. Thank you as well. My day job is to be the Director of Advanced Research Computing in the Office of Research at the University of Michigan. My affiliation, as is Lorna and I are both members of the Executive Board of Women in HPC. My specialization is the leading the chapters and affiliates program of WHPC.
Okay, thank you. Sharon, continuing with you, if you could profile Women in HPC for us, your membership, your chapters, and some of the core activities of the organization.
Sure. So Women in HPC was created with a vision to encourage women to participate in the HPC community by providing fellowship, education, support to women, but also to their allies and the organizations that employ them. And I'll start off by just saying there are many allies who are part of Women in HPC events, and not just women. So the beginnings of the organization were over 10 years ago. Tony Cullis from EPCC was one of the co-founders and really was instrumental in getting this organization off the ground. In its current form, it's been about 6 years. And from the beginning, one of the main events has been the WHPC workshop at supercomputing. And over the years, also at additional large conferences like ISC and PERC. But our membership currently includes students in all stages, faculty, other researchers, staff that are involved in HPC, leadership of divisions and centers, and this goes across academia, industry, and community organizations across the world. This is entirely a volunteer-led and powered organization, which now in its current form has an executive board, a steering committee, but also really we have to keep on saying there are volunteers across the world for leading events and programs. We have two main external champions currently, Intel and TAC at UT Austin, but also many smaller financial and in-kind contributions coming in from many organizations, industry and university organizations. WHPC is still stewarded by EPCC at the University of Edinburgh in the United Kingdom. We currently have over 1,500 registered members. There are also many who attend our events but aren't registered. It's free registration. If you'd like to register, it helps us be able to reach more people directly. It also helps us make more of a case for the interest in this organization. Our members come from all the continents except Antarctica. We haven't reached there yet. Our core activities beyond conference and event activities are the WHPC mentoring program, which is led by Sarvani Chadalapaka at UC Merced as an example of a very involved volunteer, and numerous other volunteers. The idea is to create relationships between participants, to learn from each other's experience, and to have someone help you think out situations and career choices. And we find that mentors and mentees are both benefiting from this relationship. We've had 3 cohorts since June 2019. We've had 50 active mentors and almost 60 mentees from around the globe. For example, Italy, Nigeria, Brazil, UK, France, and the US. A large number of them, about 50% of the mentees were first generation to attend college and university, for example. And we had a lot of people who are allies from represented groups who have volunteered to be mentors, which is very important for creating this strong support. The next cohort dates are going to be announced in January, and anyone interested in the program can sign up at bit.ly/WHPC mentoring. That's all one word, WHPC mentoring. The second core activity is the chapters and affiliates program. And that was created to enable local, regional, university, company, statewide, countrywide, and even continent-wide groups to tailor activities to their own needs and develop diversity and inclusion goals that are suitable to their needs and their local HPC communities, but also having the ability to share ideas and best practices between all the chapters and affiliates. Affiliates are different from chapters in that they're usually large associations or consortia. For example, PRACE in Europe is an affiliate that do not have many direct employees, or they could be groups that are in the initial stages of creating a chapter specific to WHPC. There are currently 13 chapters and 4 affiliates across all continents. Again, we have not reached Antarctica yet. With our newest being the Australasian, which is Australia and New Zealand chapter, the Costa Rica chapter, and a Southern Brazil affiliate. There are also currently 2 more US chapters that are in the process of being accepted. So to make it a little bit more transparent, the acceptance of chapters and affiliates, the applications are reviewed by a committee made up of representatives from current chapters. In normal years, we request an annual report to make sure that the chapters are actually achieving what they set out to, so that we can find out if they need help from other chapters or from the executive board. We're not prescriptive of the audience or activities of a chapter or affiliate, but they do need to maintain the goals and mission of WHPC and maintain the WHPC brand. So review is necessary. We have to ensure that organizations also aren't just looking for something that looks good in their DEI goals, for example. And I'll pass on to Lorna to talk about a third core area.
Yeah, thanks, Sharon. So as Director of Research, I'd love to talk about the last third core area is research for women in HPC. So our activities, our research activities in particular, they focus more on gathering and disseminating information that furthers our goal to diversify the computing workforce, particularly the research computing workforce. And so we're often asked, for example, to serve as advisors or reviewers for projects and organizations that are looking to improve their gender diversity, so to help them basically strategize in that process. And so my work often ranges from anywhere from formative to evaluative, and involves investigating really large-scale research computing projects and centers. And then that research and that data informs the guidance that we then disseminate, in addition to best practices from the literature and from other organizations. Like I love to quote the great work that's happening at NCWIT, for example. And so we also evaluate our own activities. Sharon mentioned quite a few of them. In particular, the mentoring program, that's a really new space for us. And so we're experimenting in that program with the idea of doing this international and holistic mentoring model. And so that has taken a little bit of the evaluation and research focus as well.
Okay, thank you. Great stuff. Lorna, tell us a little more about the core mission of Women in HPC and the importance of building a community for women in the industry.
Yeah, that's a great question. Just to speak to our core mission and what's on our website, the basics, but for Women in HPC, we really set out to encourage women and to help them participate in the HPC community or in the research computing community. We do that by providing fellowship and education and support to the women, but also to the organizations. We don't have a fix the women approach. We're very much a holistic, systemic. We look at this holistically and systemically, I should say. And we do that through the activities that I mentioned, or that Sharon mentioned, that I mentioned, mostly outreach activities, serving as advisory members or reviewers or strategists on different projects. And by disseminating information, best practices, particularly through our main event, which is our workshop. And I think we're going to talk about that a little later. So I'll save the details for that.
Yeah, I mean, so I understand the Supercomputing Conference is a high point of the year for WHPC. What was the focus of your activities at Virtual SC20 last month?
Yeah, so we had a great attendance. We had an event that brought in over 100 attendees. I believe at one point we were up to 150, but around 100 sustained throughout the event. It was an all-day event. And the theme of that was engaging male allies. And there was a number of ways, given that that's kind of a broad theme, there's a number of key topics that we focused on during that workshop. And I say we because it was a very large effort. I did not lead that workshop effort. I don't want to take credit for that, but it was a very large group of people that put it on, of volunteers. And so there were actually 7 main topics, and they range from things like raising awareness about gender equality in workspaces, tackling negative workplace behavior in order to create and foster more inclusive environments. We were also looking at things like navigating change and transitioning, particularly now in the time of COVID, where women in particular have been, unfortunately, disproportionately disadvantaged during this time. We've seen a lot of research on that, so we wanted to support our community there. Recognition too, and like celebration of things. We thought it was really important to highlight achievements and that our community has obtained, and talking about the importance of doing that in an organization and in your own work. It's often not done, unfortunately. We also talked about things like overcoming fear and taking the leap in one's own career journey, and trying not to be stuck in a particular path that you're not interested in. And then one of the second to last ones is effective self and peer evaluations for a successful career. Our community is oftentimes the only one in a particular environment. And what I mean by that is you might be the one computational person on a team addressing a problem on an interdisciplinary team, and you might not always get very effective peer evaluations or career evaluations or professional development. And so we try to fill that gap as much as we can and help our community deal with that. And then lastly, the last main topic to address this was navigating your way to successful negotiations in the workplace, as we know that there's a significant gender pay gap.
Okay, thank you, Lorna. Sharon, back to you. What's coming up for WHPC in 2021? How is the organization working toward its goals during the pandemic?
So we have 3 main goals right now for this year and the upcoming one, and they're actually driven by 2 changes. The first one, which was not tied into the pandemic, is that WHPC has grown to be much bigger than its original group of people working together with a small advisory team, that then changed over to an executive board and a steering committee. So like any other organization that starts small and grows, we love our success, but it means that we have to work on creating a framework for expanding the volunteer group, while also, creating a pipeline to help onboard and mentor new people and lead the organization through a larger group of people. So that, we're trying to keep the same things we're preaching, we're trying to do ourselves and make sure that there's a mentoring experience, and that there's a lot of diversity and inclusion from people all around the world. So that's our second goal for the upcoming year, is continue working on making sure the organization and its leadership is not US centric or even Europe centric. there's a huge span of time zones now. It makes it very hard to have committee meetings. I lead the chapter committee, for example, and we've got, I mean, it was hard when it was India and the US. Now it's all the way across to Australia. So we have to hold them, unless we hold them at times when people are physically in one place, like supercomputing, we have to start branching out and how we do this, so we can have things that aren't synchronous necessarily. We have an active Slack workspace. We have a Twitter feed, of course, all of those things. But we have to start thinking of working as a global organization that has people who are instrumental to running the organization across the globe. And then one third thing really is the pandemic. We have to start or continue thinking about how we continue activities, taking into account things like Zoom fatigue, taking into account that many women really are shouldering a lot more of the brunt of working through families and their own job through a pandemic. We've got hugely diverging time zones. So we also have to take into account, we know ISC will be virtual because they've announced that. We don't know yet about other ones. Just the last part of that is the pandemic has had a huge financial impact on, especially in academia. So the point of having, women or allies be able to for sure participate in conferences is no longer necessarily correct. So we have to find a way so that people who are not getting funded for professional development or travel, and won't be even after we hope things go back to more normal, we have to find a way to have them participate and engage.
Okay, wonderful. Sharon, Lorna, thanks so much for your time today, and best of luck in the coming year.
Thank you.
Thank you, you too.